Your dentist calls himself a doctor. Your therapist might too. So does the person who just defended a dissertation on medieval poetry. But none of them went to medical school. None of them can prescribe you medication. None of them will ever perform surgery. So why do we call them all doctor? Welcome to Tiny But Wise, where we take the small things you ignore every day and reveal the big truths hiding inside them. This one has been sitting in front of us our entire lives, and almost nobody stops to ask it. You walk into a clinic, someone in a white coat walks in, and your brain immediately says, doctor, authority, trust, safety. But what if that title has nothing to do with medicine at all? What if doctor was never meant for hospitals in the first place? And here's the one that should really make you uncomfortable. What if the people we most associate with that word are actually the ones using it incorrectly? Think about the last time you visited a doctor. Did you ever wonder why they get that title? Did you ever question whether a PhD in chemistry and a medical degree deserve the same word? And here's the big one. Does the title doctor actually tell you anything useful about the person standing in front of you? Or has it just become a costume anyone with the right paperwork can wear? Let's go all the way back. And I mean all the way. We're talking medieval Europe, roughly the 11th and 12th centuries. Universities are just beginning to take shape. Places like Bologna in Italy and Oxford in England are becoming centers of serious, structured learning. And when someone completed the highest level of study possible, when they mastered a field so deeply that they were now qualified to teach it to others, they were given a title. That title came from the Latin word docere, which means to teach. A doctor, originally, was simply a teacher, someone who had learned enough to pass knowledge forward. That's it. No stethoscope, no prescription pad, no hospital rounds, just a scholar who had reached the top of their academic mountain. And when these universities began granting formal degrees, the highest one, the doctorate, carried that title with it. A doctor of theology, a doctor of philosophy, a doctor of law. These were the original doctors, and medicine was just one subject among many that someone could eventually master. So here's the curiosity loop. If the word was always about teaching and scholarship, when did it get hijacked by medicine? And why did medicine win? The answer starts to take shape in the 1700s and 1800s. Medicine is changing fast. It's becoming more scientific, more structured, more respected. Physicians are starting to attend universities, earn formal degrees, and present themselves as educated professionals rather than traveling remedy sellers. And as they gain social status, they lean hard into the academic tradition. They call themselves doctors. It signals legitimacy. It says, I studied. I know things. Trust me. And the public listened. Because medicine is personal. It touches your body, your fear, your survival. When someone walks in claiming authority over your health, you want them to have the most impressive title available. Doctor stuck to medicine like nothing else because the stakes of medicine are life and death. No one gets quite that emotionally attached to their tax attorney. But here's where it gets genuinely strange. As medicine claimed the word, a quiet war broke out, one that most people never hear about. In the United Kingdom, for example, surgeons traditionally did not hold medical degrees from universities in the early days of their practice. They came up through a guild system, learning their craft hands-on. So when physicians, who did hold university degrees, started calling themselves doctor, surgeons were excluded from that title. And their response? They doubled down on a different title entirely. They called themselves Mr. or Mississippi or Ms. as a mark of distinction, as a way of saying, we are not physicians and we are proud of it. This tradition survives in British surgery to this day. A fully qualified surgeon in the UK is addressed as Mr. or Ms., not Doctor. It's a badge of honor rooted in centuries of professional identity. If you walk into a British hospital and someone introduces themselves as Mr. Patel, your surgeon, that's not a mistake. That's prestige. That is history wearing a white coat. Now flip to the other side of the spectrum. In the United States, the title war went a completely different direction. Here, nearly every credentialed professional in healthcare reached for doctor. Optometrists, podiatrists, chiropractors, pharmacists with advanced degrees, physical therapists with doctorates, audiologists, nurse practitioners in some states. All of them can, under various circumstances, be addressed as doctor, and many of them earned that title through years of rigorous education and clinical training. But to a patient sitting in a waiting room, that distinction is almost invisible. And it matters. It really matters. Because the word doctor carries a weight of assumed authority that can influence decisions, shape trust, and sometimes, in high-stakes medical situations, create genuine confusion about who is responsible for what. Here comes the twist. Ready? Because this is the one that reframes the whole conversation. We've been assuming all along that medical doctors are the legitimate owners of this title, and everyone else is borrowing it. But remember what we learned at the beginning. The original doctors were academics, scholars, teachers, which means the person who is most faithfully using the title doctor in its truest historical sense. Might actually be the philosophy professor who has never seen the inside of an operating room. The PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, is literally the living heir of the original meaning of that word. Medical doctors, from a purely etymological standpoint, are the ones who repurposed the title. They took a word that meant learned teacher and wrapped it in a stethoscope until the whole world forgot what it meant before. That is one of the most successful rebranding operations in the history of human language. And here is the most powerful insight of all. The word doctor was never really about what someone does. It was always about what someone knows. It was a signal of depth, of mastery, of having gone further into a subject than almost anyone else. That's why it still belongs to the oncologist and the musicologist, to the neurosurgeon and the literature professor. They all climbed different mountains, but they all reached a peak that most people never will. The title survived for nearly 1,000 years because mastery never goes out of style. In a world full of noise and half-knowledge and confident amateurs, there's still something in us that reaches for the word doctor when we want to say, this person really, truly knows. And maybe that instinct, however imperfect its execution, is pointing at something real, something ancient, something worth protecting. So the next time someone introduces themselves as doctor and you have absolutely no idea whether they treat patients or publish research papers, maybe don't assume. Ask, because behind that title is almost certainly a story of years of work, sleepless nights, and a level of dedication that earned them the right to carry a word that is nearly 1,000 years old. The title isn't the costume. For most people who hold it, it's the scar. And that's worth a little more respect than we usually give. If you found this video valuable and learned something new, do us a favor, like subscribe to Tiny But Wise and share it with your loved ones. Now your turn. Drop a comment with the next topic. We read every comment and the best suggestion gets a shout out. See you there.